I'm Drew.
And I'm Tony.
And this is Back for Our Future, the show that looks back at our past in movies and music and other stuff, and yours, most likely. And if you weren't born yet, then this is your education. Welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have Tony. Well, you're always here. I don't know why it's like you're a guest. Why am I setting you up? Tony's always with us. But it's always good to see him and have the conversations and have the dialogue and the history and all the great stuff. So, again, how are you, Tony? What's been going on?
Well, I'm like the guest who never leaves, right? I mean, it's Drew's show. I'm just kind of here every single episode. I don't know why.
What is that Sinbad movie? Wasn't it a Sinbad movie called House Guest?
Yeah, right, house guest. I'm the house guest who just won't leave at all.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, so as always, this show talks a lot about historical pieces because it's our past and we're talking about movies and we're going through chronologically. And a viewer pointed it out to us, which is the impetus for this episode, so to speak. But a viewer pointed out last episode we mentioned the movie Quiz Show. And the day the episode dropped, we also found out that Quiz Show's director, Robert Redford, passed away at the age of 89. So we wanted to take a part of this episode. You can't talk about film in any capacity, whether it's massive studio films or independent film. We can't talk about that. You can't talk about the history of it or the importance of it or any of it. You can't even talk about filmmaking in the modern era without mentioning Robert Redford's name. So we wanted to take some time today to talk about Robert Redford. I'm sure Tony has a good platform to go on, but he's one of those actors that we were talking a little bit before the show that, this year we've quite a few actors have passed away, sadly. And one of the things that we were discussing is that, a lot of the classics, the men and women that really just paved the way for modern cinema are starting to age out a little bit. And we're getting to that point. And unfortunately, when we lose them, we have their library, luckily. And a lot of them have retired, but we won't necessarily get to see them. And it's kind of one of those things of like, it's a bittersweet scenario. Like we can celebrate their body of work, but we can't always celebrate them being alive because they've passed. So it's just an interesting sort of scenario when you start this show and we're just talking about movie theaters and it became about movies and now music and as we've progressed. So Tony, let's talk a little about Robert Redford. I know that you're going to have a laundry list of things to say and I want to give you the time to say that. So let's just jump into it.
Well, I think one of the things that people don't really know about him is that, first of all, he spent a lot of time as a television actor. He didn't really get his break in film until the late 60s. And he spent a lot of time as a TV actor doing all kinds of stuff because, he starts pretty much in the late 50s. And so he's been around a long time. And
right.
Doing TV shows like, Maverick, which is a show that we've talked about in the past. And he was on that. That was like his very first role. And then, The Deputy. And as a guy who watches a lot of old television, I've seen him in a lot of these roles. Perry Mason, he's got a pretty good role on that. I've seen all his stuff in Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, The Alfred Hitchcock Hour. He does like 3 or 4 different spots in different episodes. And he's always really great in those, of course. And Dr. Kildare and The Twilight Zone. He's got a great episode of that as well. The Untouchables. Yeah, he was one of those guys that, was in a lot of great old television shows for a long time before he really broke out in film. And then, of course, once he breaks out in film, he's in a bunch of just huge, iconic movies, right? So, he starts out in Tall Story in 1960, but, he doesn't really start getting seen until about 1966 in film, when he's got This Property is Condemned, which was a Sidney Pollack film, The Chase, Barefoot in the Park, and, of course, he really breaks out in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969, which, of course, the iconic film festival, Sundance Film Festival, is named for this character. And, of course, he would buy Tip Haven property, the resort up in Utah, and he would name it Sundance after this character. So pretty iconic role and big in the '60s, and of course he's going to really break out in the '70s. But what do you think about those '60s movies?
Yeah, look, a lot of those are iconic pieces. I mean, but the one that obviously stands out, and I mean, most people, I assume, maybe the younger generation hasn't, and if they haven't, and you're listening to this show and you take our advice about movies, you should go watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That is like one of the most iconic films ever made. Like
Yeah,
it is considered. I don't know this for a fact, but I imagine it's something that I would not be surprised to see in something like the Smithsonian. Like it is that legendary. It's very iconic Americana. It is just a piece of art, and it's fantastic, and it's a fantastically great movie. And it's one of those ones. It's a buddy picture in a way that would go on to kind of set up the buddy genre even further, right? And so I mean, it just really kind of ties it all together. You have that, even just that cliff jump scene, and you think about back then there was no CG. Like these are stunt people doing this stuff that's insane. Like just everything about that film is just raw, pure filmmaking. And then the performances from Redford, or his role in it is tremendous. It's one of those things that I keep saying it's iconic because it is, but it's also just you pair him with Paul Newman and you have two of the coolest dudes to ever walk the earth in a movie together. It's kind of obnoxious.
absolutely. I mean, Paul Newman is also kind of one of the kings of cool. You know, I mean, he was amazing, and of course, he died years back. But I mean, also an amazing actor. I mean, I don't think people realize how many roles Robert Redford had. You know, with Sidney Pollack as a director as well. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot, and the '70s are pretty loaded too, man. I mean, Jeremiah Johnson, The Candidate, The Hot Rock, of course, The Sting, which is another classic. The Way We Were, which is another Sidney Pollack movie as well.
Yep.
Great Gatsby, 3 Days of the Condor, another Sidney Pollack film. The Great Waldo Pepper, All the President's Men, A
Ah.
Bridge Too Far, The
Yep.
Electric Horseman. I mean, that's all in the '70s.
Right.
Electric Horseman, another Sidney Pollack movie.
Right.
Love working.
Just so everybody knows, so in case there's anyone that may not, and I just want to bring this up to make it relevant, one of the most used gifs in the world is Robert Redford in Jeremiah Johnson. And that's when he turns and looks in the camera and just gives you that head nod.
Yeah.
Everybody's used that gif somewhere in their time on the internet. And I just think it's important to note that like that movie, his performance, all of that, but also that gif comes from one of the most iconic films in the entire world, right?
Yeah.
It's again another one, and we've said that twice now. And then you get to something like The Candidate, which is quality, great movie, and then you hit The Sting, and The Sting is again, if nothing else, one of the most legendary soundtracks to ever exist on Earth. I don't know what it sold, but everybody's heard that song at some point in their life. Hell, I think ice cream trucks play that song
No, absolutely.
driving around. And as you go down, you got 3 Days of the Condor, which is another classic that I absolutely adore. I mean, his stuff in the '70s is almost every single film that he puts out is a banger. Almost every single one.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about the Sting song also is it's Scott Joplin, who
Right.
who is from St. Louis, and you could actually go tour the Scott Joplin house here in St. Louis. So that song, yeah, is pretty iconic, and they have a piano that you can sit there and you can push the pedals for, and it'll play that song.
That's
It's
fantastic.
a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, of course, it's an iconic song and it's a great movie and another classic. And of course, this is around the time here that we would start getting the version of Robert Redford that's more like Daniel Day-Lewis, where he would only pick certain movies to do.
Yeah.
He would here for a few years at a time. It's like some of these guys, they do really like to have their lives as well, and they get big enough to where they don't have to make a movie every 2 or 3 movies every year, or do the Pedro Pascal thing where he's in like 10 movies a year now. So
Good God.
yeah, they don't
Yeah.
they try not to do that, right? So he does Brubaker in 1980, which is a good film, and then he does. And 4 years later, he's in the movie The Natural, which is one of the most iconic baseball movies of all time, directed by Barry Levinson. And then, of course, he's in Out of Africa in 1985, another Sidney Pollack movie. Legal Eagles in 1986, directed by Ivan Reitman, kind of a comedy with him and Daryl Hannah and
Yep.
Don Singer. And then that's it. And then he doesn't do anything else
Wow.
in the 90s. So it's just like, so he takes like 4 years off in between. He does a few movies and then he takes some time off, you know?
So I have a like, of course, like The Natural, when we were growing up, that movie was part of our,
Oh, yeah.
like if you played baseball, you had seen those scenes, and in your mind there was that moment. Like, and so The Natural is one of those ones that just lives on. It's one that I wish would stick around. Like, I wish younger baseball kids would have that same sort of moment, and I'm sure they do to some extent, but sports has shifted. Like, this was such an individualist thing, and I think now it's not that when I say that, I don't mean like, I think sports are more individualistic now than they were then, but I mean, this is like a moment with you versus the world kind of thing, and we don't see that as much. But I wanted to share a story that my film teacher used to tell, Dr. Ward. So shout out to him. He's retired now, but so when he was a young guy, he had joined ACE. So he lived in Los Angeles. He had gone to film school, and he became an editor for ACE is the editing guild. And so he's an ACE editor, and he gets this call that Steven Spielberg would like to show Out of Africa at his house. Okay. So he's this young editor. And back then, so that people know, this movie had not come out yet, so it hadn't been released. But again, Spielberg was already kind of a brand name, and there's other people in attendance. So he gets to take the film Out of Africa to Spielberg's house, where George Lucas is, and Coppola. He says all these names in the story, but he does. But he was told before he leaves, his boss says, "Hey, listen, I don't care who it is. No one can touch the film. You can't let it go out. No one can be around it. You can't let it leave your sight." And he's like, okay. So he gets to the party. Steven comes in, introduces himself with George. And my professor kind of reminded us of George Lucas. We would always joke about it. And he gets to meet these guys. And he's a young dude. He's in his early 20s. He shakes their hands like, "Hey, we're having a party here. Why don't you come on in?" They're inviting him into this party, this epic level, top tier, could have changed the course of his life party. And he tells the story. He was like, "No, I was told not to leave the film." So while they're in the other room partying, he is sitting with cans of film by himself in this theater until they're ready to show it. At which point he doesn't get to sit in the theater with them because he was told not to let it leave his sight. He goes to the projection room and sits in the projection room by himself. And when the movie's done, he leaves and takes the cans right back to the studio.
Dummy.
I mean, it's just, he would tell us that story, like, in every class you had. If there was new students, you would make them tell the story, because it was always one of those, like, so close yet so far.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a way to honor him. But it always stood out to me because I, at the time, had never seen Out of Africa, and when he told that story, I went and watched it, and dude, that movie is, again, another. His run in Redford's run in the 80s is ridiculous. Now, I tend to like more of his 90s movies as being rewatchable because I grew up with those. We've talked about some on this show before. We're going to get to one of my favorite movies ever. But his 80s movies, what is it, 6 of them? 5 of them, whatever it is.
Right.
They're just all so good, and they all mean something. And if out of those 5, you might not know Brubaker, you might not know, Havana doesn't really want 4. Sorry, 4. You're right. You might not know, out of those 4, you might not know Brubaker as much, but you know The Natural, you've heard Out of Africa, and you know Legal Eagles. Like, those movies are like iconic, all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, the 90s, he comes back after 4 years, he does Havana.
Yep.
Which is a movie that gets made fun of on Seinfeld. And,
Yes.
but another Sidney Pollack movie, by the way. The last time he'd really work with him, but Sneakers, of course, in
Oh,
1993, Indecent Proposal, which I saw with my mom. 1990, it
we have a whole
is.
episode. We have a whole episode about it. We do. Yeah.
Indecent Proposal, me seeing that with my mother. And 1996, Up Close and Personal.
Yep.
1998, The Horse Whisperer, and that's his 90s. So he's got five good movies. Again, five good movies, and every time the guy makes a movie, it makes money for the most part. I mean, he's got a couple. He's got a couple movies in there, but you know, most of the time he does pretty well.
Did he win anything or get nominated for anything? Do you know on the Horse Whisperer? Did he pull anything down for that? Because he directed that, right?
The Horse Whisperer is actually directed by him, yeah, as well. Yep, yep, yeah. So I mean, it was a good movie. I mean, that was a big hit for him as well. So did quite well for him. It wasn't not a big awards thing, but yeah, it was a film that did quite well for him.
Yeah, but he came out of the gate directing and turned
Okay,
around and
sorry, yeah, he did because that was the one he did get he was nominated for it was nominated for best song, and the film was nominated for best picture and at the
okay.
Golden Globes.
Yeah, and so that's like, if I'm not mistaken, though, I believe that's like his first film that he directs, in at least with his name on it, big enough to help push it, and he ends up coming out of the gate. Like, so to your point, like his stuff and his '90s movies, because of where we are in this podcast, and listen, guys, at some point we're going to get past the '90s and we're going to keep going until you guys tell us to stop, which we don't care if you tell us to stop anyway. But
Well,
the fact that he chose so well that even his '90s movies, again minus a little bit of Havana, maybe the rest of those are all just they all hit. Every one of them hit in terms
yeah,
of like the
and
audience reaction.
I'm only going over his acting stuff. I mean, his directing goes all the way back to 1980.
Okay.
You know, yeah, because he's got Ordinary People, and he directed the Malaga Greenfield War, and of course, before he even gets to Horse Whisperer, he's got River Runs Through It.
Oh,
And
that's right. That's right.
then he directed Quiz Show, which we talked about, Horse
Yeah.
Whisperer,
Yeah. Yeah.
Civil Action. It was a movie he produced, and he directs. In if we're just going through his directing stuff real quick, Legend of Bagger Vance in 2000, Lions for Lambs, The Conspirator, The Company You Keep, Cathedrals of Culture, which is a documentary. So he directs all those. We're only kind of going through his acting chops because he's got so many things. We can't possibly cover them all his
And
producing.
that's what I mean. My apologies, I wasn't clear, but that's the first film that I think he acted and directed in at the same time.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't clear on that part. My apologies, but like the fact is that that's difficult. That's not easy to do. I mean, the one of the only other guys that's really good at doing that is Mel Gibson. And he hasn't done it that much. Back to, well, maybe he even didn't. He didn't direct Braveheart, did he? Did he direct that? I don't remember. Yeah, so there you go. Sylvester Stallone somewhere down the line gets into that mix. There's very few people that can pull that off. So, or should he might have just written. He directed Rocky, didn't he?
Sylvester Stallone's directed stuff. Yeah, he's directed a
Okay.
bunch of stuff. Yeah, he's written. Yeah,
Yeah, he wrote Rocky. Yeah, but the point is like
he's
it's
written.
challenging.
Yeah,
Right. It's challenging to pull it all together.
I mean, a lot of people have done it. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, Emilio Estevez directs and stars in his own stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's tons of people who do it. I mean, it's just I mean, not always at the highest level. Where they're getting
Right.
award and stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's quite a few people have done it. I mean, it's easier probably to direct yourself because you know exactly
Maybe.
exactly what you want. I mean,
I just know how much stress and pressure comes in that if you also have to remember fine, I can direct myself, but I can't remember my lines. So I'm line reading constantly.
but you're
you
not an
know,
actor.
I'm definitely not an
You're
actor.
not an actor. See, Robert Redford's a great. He was a great thespian before he ever really became a big director. So that kind of helps too. Is that he kind of already knows what he's looking for as an actor, so he can kind of direct himself and go through that process. And then you got to direct your co-stars, which is that's kind of odd, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I see it, but
Well, that takes us into the thousands.
yeah, and he's going to start off with a really good movie that's I feel has been extremely underrated over the years, and that's The Last Castle. I feel like that movie is outstanding with him and James Gandolfini, and I think it's one of those films that people should go back and watch. I think it's quite amazing. Um, it is it is kind of a military meets prison type movie, but I I remember seeing it in theaters and just loving it, and I've seen it several times since, and always thought that those two were really good together and kind of a cool mix. Getting Robert Redford and James Gandolfini together, which is I thought was amazing. And then of course he does the Tony Scott film Spy Game with
Yep.
him and Brad Pitt, which is I thought was great. He does The Clearing and Unfinished Life, Charlotte's Web, Lions for Lambs, of course, which he also produced and directed with him and Tom Cruise, and The Company You Keep. So that's kind of gets him. Well, Lions for Lambs is 2007. Then we don't see The Company You Keep till 2012. But so
Yeah, to your point though, that's a 5-year gap.
I know he does that a lot. He becomes kind of him and Daniel Day-Lewis are kind of those guys who do that a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, which I respect as a guy who has made a lot of movies in his career, and I have. You know, if you can take 5 years off in between them, that'd be great.
Oh my God. I just wrapped a huge project and it was just a 9-minute short film for a client, and just wrapping that because it took 3 years to kind of get from start to finish on the whole sort of thesis on it. And just to wrap that, I'd love to just take the next I'd take 5 days off. I'd be happy. Just 5 days, much less 5 years, you know? It is interesting because The Last Castle, I got to agree with you. That movie is completely overlooked. It doesn't show up on a lot of like streaming lists, and if it does, you might get lucky and it's on like HBO Max. But Netflix and their hot garbage aren't going to take it. You might be able to find it on Prime just because it's randomly on some other network and they happen to show it. That's a really well-made movie, and it's one of my, if not my favorite. I'm not a big Sopranos fan, but it is one of my favorite James Gandolfini roles because he's just very intense. And to me, that's what made me love him, was that movie and not necessarily his role in The Sopranos at all. Like I liked him in The Last Castle, and that's what sticks with me.
Yeah, I always liked my 3 favorite Gandolfini movie roles, and I know we're getting off the subject now a little bit, but I was always big into that movie. I thought he was good in The Mexican, and
Oh my God, yes.
and I loved him in True Romance.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those are like the 3 roles that I really always liked Gandolfini in as far as movie roles. And of course, he's in The Sopranos, which is a very, very good TV show that I liked a lot. So,
Well, some of us liked it.
some of us liked it more than others.
I mean, my wife still rewatches it. I mean, it's like The Burbs. You and her in The Burbs, and her and The Sopranos. I mean, she can rewatch that show a billion times over, and it's tough for me to do.
Good show, but I do like The Burbs better than I do The Sopranos. So,
what a contrast!
I'll be honest with you. Let's finish out his filmography real quick here, because it's got several movies starting with 2012, The Company You Keep, All Is Lost. And then he starts getting into the. This is where my brother probably starts watching them. Okay,
right?
Because now he's going to start getting into the comic book movies. I don't know if my brother even knew who he was. He may not even have known who Robert Redford was until he's in Captain America: Winter Soldier. And then A Walk in the Woods, Truth. He's in Pete's Dragon in 2016, which was cool.
Yep.
The Discovery, Our Souls at Night, The Old Man and the Gun, and of course he's in Avengers Endgame, which probably the second movie my brother ever watched him in. Oh no, I think he saw Pete's Dragon with us. So
yeah.
That would be the
Yeah.
third movie that he's ever watched with him. And then he his Omniboat, the fast boat Fantasia. He does a voice in that, and that's it. You know, and that's the iconic Robert Redford filmography right there.
Well, my dog is Birdie. The dog has decided she needs to chime in. I got to tell you,
Or like Peach.
of his later movies, when he starts, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the Marvel movies. I don't necessarily love all the newer ones, but I like the older ones. But hands down, one of the best action films. Not even you don't even need to predicate it with the word Marvel. It happens to be a Marvel movie. One of the best action films in years is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, without a doubt. It's a spy movie. It's fantastic. And the fact that he's in it and he has so much, like, he has that kind of back throw to Spy Game and even some of the Last Castle vibes, but like he has this old history. Dude, it makes it so good. His character's so good. So him being in Endgame just buttons it up. But hands down, Winter Soldier, because I went through and rewatched the Marvel movie, not all of them. I only watched Avengers movies. And except for, I guess, Captain America Civil War, I consider that Avengers movie. But I watched just those. I didn't watch all the extra Iron Mans and all that crap. And when you get to Winter Soldier, which I also consider to be an Avengers movie, when you get to that, it's such a good movie. It stands out above every single one of them, including Endgame. Like, Endgame's the end of the storyline, Infinity War or Infinity whatever. I can sit down and watch Winter Soldier at any given point, and it's super solid.
No, it's an amazing film. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I'll ask him. But I'm pretty sure that's the first time my brother ever watched Robert Redford.
Love it.
Pretty sure. I mean, he's in a lot of iconic movies. These are not movies that my brother was watching. I mean, it's just, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think he's seen them, but I mean,
Right.
that would be where he would definitely know him from. It is a good. I mean, a lot of those are great movies. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just I always laugh because I've been watching it my whole life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's things. It's just a difference of my priorities in film and his. They're a little different. Now, comic books, he's got me. Even though I've been collecting comics since a kid, he knows way more about it than I do overall. So,
oh yeah,
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cool way to button up your career. All of a sudden, you've been doing all these movies your whole life and working with Sidney Pollack and then all of a sudden you close it out with a couple of Marvel movies and a Disney remake and stuff like that. I mean, it's a nice way to tighten up the pocketbook a little bit.
but we'd also be remiss for the fact that, like, he launched Sundance, which has given us so many directors and so many filmmakers that are just out and even acting performances that are just mind blowing. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've talked about that influenced me ended up being a Sundance film that came, crossed over and made it bigger into Mobile, Alabama. It made it all the way down here in the 90s. But it doesn't happen without Sundance. Like, a lot of these projects that exist now, like, I really like Colin Trevorrow. I like him. But it doesn't happen unless he wins Sundance, right? He doesn't get the opportunities he has. And so guys like that and I mean, just some of the screeners that you've sent me or we've talked about or watched or viewed together or whatever it may be over the years, or I've sent you, it doesn't really matter. But like, some of those were Sundance movies that we wouldn't have seen on the regular. And then suddenly we're like, this is incredible. So like, and he's responsible for that. And I think that's another piece that should just really solidify the importance of Mr. Redford and his career and what he means to filmmaking and filmmakers, more importantly.
Well, Sundance is fun. I've been out there a couple times, especially back in my LA days when I was out there. Yeah, I mean, I had a couple movies that you've played out there that I worked on and things of that nature as well. But the thing about it is a fun experience. And there's a lot of partying going on, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's a unique place, and for his history in that is like he bought a lot for like $500, which would be worth probably like $5,000 or so today, somewhere in that range. So he buys this little lot, and then he buys the whole damn resort.
Right.
and then he names the thing Sundance, and of course it becomes this huge thing, and he has this festival called the Sundance Film Festival, which is like kind of the indie darling festival, and everybody who does an indie movie wants to get there, pretty much. I mean, let's be honest. How many times have you seen somebody? I mean, we've lived in the indie world for a lot of our careers and stuff like that. So I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say they wanted to play their movie at Sundance? Like
Right. Right.
everybody who's had an indie movie has at least submitted it to Sundance, So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's an iconic film festival, even if it's not always the one that plays the best movies, but or the biggest films, But yeah, it's iconic, and Redford was the man who started it, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is responsible for it.
I honestly didn't know that. I genuinely did not know. I mean, it makes sense now, but I had no idea that that's where the actual naming convention came from. I always just thought it was I never just put two and four together. So if nothing else, like, how great is that it goes back to the beginning of the career? So like, it's just, I don't know. I think, again, somebody like him has a catalog that's worth exploring. So if you're somebody that's like, I don't know where to start, or if I hear somebody say, I don't know what movie to watch, or what do you want to watch, just pull up Redford's catalog. You're not going to be disappointed. Just even if you start in the 70s, you could just start in the 70s if you wanted to. Just start in the 70s and go through them, and you won't be disappointed because they're all great. They're all really good movies, and you'll be sucked into them. You will be locked in, partly because of his performance, and just go down the list.
Start in the '60s because you're going to.
Oh yeah, because you're in Sundance.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. That's true.
You got to start in the '60s because you got to see that iconic movie because it's one of his best, and then of course, and then he's got tons of huge '70s movies that you're going to want to watch. But he's got a lot of those. Don't sleep on those '60s movies because he's in those movies with people like Jane Fonda and Charles Bronson and people like that. So I mean, those are pretty cool movies to watch as well. You get to see a lot of big stars, much younger, and he's got some comedies in there. He's a guy who is really, really diverse in the roles he would take. He could be funny, he could be very charming, he was dramatic, he could be an action stuff. I mean, he was a guy who could really do just about everything. And kind of like you get, out of a guy maybe like Tom Cruise in a lot of ways sometimes. Tom can be funny if he wants to be funny, and Tom can be very dramatic, and he can be an action star. And that's what a real movie star looks like. They can do everything. That's what a movie star looks like. And Robert Redford is one of the last great movie stars. He is a true movie star. He's not an actor. He's a movie star. His movies make money. He wanted to be in theaters, and he's a movie star. And that's one of the things. That's probably the best thing I can say about him.
No, I'm 100% with you. And that is becoming rarer and rarer. Like, we're not getting as much of that anymore. And some of that can be seen in the box office as of late, which is my segue.
All right. I like it.
That the other piece we wanted to talk about is we wanted to kind of talk about the summer box office. We told you guys the tradition that Tony and I've had, and we now share it with you, all of our listening audience, that we preview the movies, we make little statements. I think I claimed Superman to be potentially be the biggest of the summer. I was wrong. Tony claimed, I believe it was Lilo and Stitch, and I think he's pretty much right. Yeah, he nailed that one.
But you did put you did put it as number 2, though.
Yeah.
So you had it as number 2. So it wasn't like you were really off on that or anything like that. So
no, for sure. So we were just going to go over the list with you guys and just talk about them and anything that stood out to us. I've seen almost everything, not everything that came out over the summer, because there's a lot of like indie films, but I've seen most of the big hits. I even finally got to see Mission Impossible. I snuck away for that one, and I was able to finally see that one. So, you want to just pick up where we left off? We kind of started the summer a little bit late we started May 16th, but.
So let's start off with Final Destination Bloodlines, which is a movie that I just absolutely loved. it was an expensive entry for this franchise because they made it for about 50 million, but it made well over 310 million. So
Yeah.
it was a huge hit to start off the summer movie season, and I thought it was quite good. Have you seen it?
Full, yep, I sure have watched it with Sarah. Listen, the reality of that movie is when you reboot, relaunch, whatever you want to put a re in front of it, most of the time that doesn't work. But in this case, it clearly worked. I mean, the box office says so. But Final Destination's it's always been fun to see the almost, what is the guy's name? Rube Goldberg, whatever it is, effect that death is going to have with these series of events that kill someone. And
Right.
and then in popular culture, I've been behind logging trucks before, and all I can think about is, oh my God, this is our Final Destination moment. I think we've all had this series of events where something seemed like bad was going to happen, and it's our quote Final Destination moment. It's what makes that series fun, and obviously it held up because I think it's the highest grossing. Is it the highest grossing
I,
horror film of the summer?
the franchise, and I mean they spent a lot of money on it too. So I mean they did really well because 50 million is a lot for a horror movie. I mean
Yeah,
that's a big budget. That's a big budget horror movie. That's almost like making a in the horror realm. That's almost like making $150 million movie. I mean
right.
that's a huge budget for a horror film, but it paid off. So that's good. The franchise is in good shape if they want to keep making them. So that's it's nice to see people who are willing to come back to the franchise, which is always fun to see. And
Absolutely.
sometimes in horror that pays off a lot more than some genres. Like
Yep.
we talked about comedies, it doesn't usually pay off that well. Horror is a different thing. If you wait several years or so to put out one, people will usually come back to you. So that's kind of a cool thing. It came out the same day as Hurry Up Tomorrow, which started the weekend, and Jenna Ortega and did not do well.
Yeah, I did
Nobody
not see that.
nobody. It's a really weird niche movie. It's very odd and did not sell at all, and was the first kind of bomb of the summer season. And then we got into May 23rd, and here we go. Two massive films, Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I saw both of them pretty much opening weekend ish, and thought they were quite amazing. Lilo and Stitch. I just knew this movie was going to be massive, and you know that it was still a bit of a leap because Lilo and Stitch, the cartoon, the animated
Mm-hmm.
film, was not by any means the biggest hit that Disney's had. That was, I mean, it did well, it made money and it did well, but it was not a huge monster hit. So I just knew people were going to want to watch this movie in theaters because the kids, every time I went to a movie, people were just laughing and going crazy about this trailer. And there was no way people weren't going to see the movie. It made well over $1 billion in the summer. Only movie in the summer to do that worldwide, and yeah, quite amazing. And as far as Mission Impossible, that movie did not disappoint at all. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I love the way they took that entire plane sequence and just made it all about what's happening in that plane. They didn't worry about
Yep.
dialogue. They didn't worry. It's so gritty and it's so raw. It just made it like old school, man. It was an old school scene in a new movie, and I really loved watching that.
Yeah. So Mission Impossible in theaters was so Lilo and Stitch does well in theaters because it gives somebody an event. But and I'm not taking away from it ever being in the theater because I like first run. But it wasn't necessarily the experience in seeing Lilo and Stitch is you're taking your family to go see a movie together and gives you all something to do during the heat of the summer and the air conditioning. Mission Impossible had to have been seen in the theater. You can watch it at home, sure. But if you didn't see it in the theater, what you missed, and I'm sure the IMAX is great too. I didn't see it in IMAX. But what you would miss is filmmaking that's made for the big screen. And the frames, just talking as someone who currently works as a filmmaker and using cameras to frame shots, the frames were not framed for your television or your phone. They were framed for the big screen. They were framed to put tiny Tom Cruise in a big event, or to get so close into the action that you're just like, this is it, as disorienting as what he's going through. And there's an amazing sequence that happens of all the stunts. I love the plane, but my absolute favorite moment in that is the dive scene with the sub. I have never sweated. My palms were sweating for him. And I know he's going to live because we hadn't gotten to the plane scene, right? That's the problem with trailers. But they did something in there that was incredible. So just so people know, they shot a lot of the scenes on IMAX, which is a different size of frame than others. But there's a bit in there, and it's a little bit harder to notice in theater. I'm a nerd, and I notice this stuff. There's a spot where he turns this wheel. He's supposed to let out a valve. And while he's turning it, the screen literally gets bigger. So they take the black bars off, and it goes what's called full frame to, I forget the term, scope to something else. But basically the bars shrink up, and now that the sequence you're about to experience is given to you in the biggest image possible. That's done with intent. That is not like, they literally emphasize the fact they wanted you to experience this in the biggest thing possible. The same thing happens on a cut for the plane sequence. It's shot in the biggest frame possible. That kind of stuff is rare. So kudos to Mission Impossible on a banger of a summer movie, because it was definitely a summer movie.
And they both did very well at the box office, which is something I like to see. May 30th, Bring Her Back. A24 did okay. It did okay. It's a really good movie. It's really, really good. It is really intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it's probably one of the more underrated films of the summer, because it's actually quite good. But man, it's an intense horror film. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you're not into horror at all, this is not where you start, because this movie has got some intense visuals. And I thought it was quite good. It didn't make the money that we thought it was going to make. You had this movie beating out Karate Kid Legends.
I did.
Week. I did not have that. I had Karate Kid Legends ahead of it, and it did. Karate Kid Legends does beat it out, which is another movie I really enjoyed. I did enjoy Karate Kid Legends quite a bit. Nice entry. You get all the old guys coming back. It was a lot of fun to mix new characters and old characters together, and that's the way you're supposed to do these types of things. If you're gonna bring back a franchise like that, this is the way you do it. And I was really happy to see Karate Kid Legends do what it did and made money. Went over $100 million worldwide, so it was a modestly budgeted film to begin with only like a $40 million budget. So it made
for them.
million worldwide, so it's in good shape.
Yeah, I did not see, or I have not seen him yet. I've not watched. You texted me immediately after you saw Bring Her Back and was like, dude, there's a phrase that Tony says. I won't say it on the show, but there's a phrase that it's nothing cancelable. It's just got a curse word in it, and it's become a statement we say to each other. So just so everybody knows. But he sends me that. I'm like, oh crap. So once I have a chance to I don't even know if it's out for streaming yet, but once it comes out, it'll catch it up. I want to watch Karate Kid Legends with the kids because they know all the other Karate Kid movies. In fact, the other day, my littlest heard the original, because I sometimes play the score soundtrack or the cinema channel in my car, and she heard it and she was like, oh, that's Karate Kid. And I was like, whoa, look at you knowing the music. So I'd like for them to watch that. So we'll probably watch that together, but happy that Karate Kid did well. I really am. I like the concept behind it for sure.
And the girl in the movie is the girlfriend from the Goldbergs. So
right. Absolutely.
The girlfriend's from the Goldbergs. So it was kind of fun to see her in a big film. So that was neat. Good for them. And June 6th we got Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Life of Chuck, which is a movie that you were on, and the Phoenician Scheme and The Ritual. So Ballerina, again, this is a movie that cost about $90 million to make, and it made about 140, somewhere in that range. And it learns a hard lesson, because it is a good movie, and I saw this movie with my mom, and she really enjoyed it as well. It's got a lot of heart to it. It's very good. Anna de Armas is quite lovely in it. if you're a big Keanu Reeves fan, he's in the movie quite a bit. So, you get John Wick. I mean, it was all there, right? But the problem is, once again, that for the second summer in a row, we've gotten a big franchise that decided to base a sequel, prequel story on a female character, and it just doesn't land with the audience like the male characters do. So you got Mad Max, obviously, in 2024, and, that was Furiosa. And then, of course, that movie was a massive undertaking because that's like a $250 million film that didn't do nearly as well. This is a $90 million film that just kind of underperformed. It wasn't a flop, but we call it an underperforming, at the box office based on where the John Wick franchise has been, because that's been huge.
Right.
And
Well,
so, it is what it is. But I mean, it's a good movie. It's what I like to call the DEI versions of these films, and I'm just telling you, they're gonna stop doing this. They got to stop doing it because these movies do not sell. They got to figure out another way to bring other characters in without making it so obvious that they're picking characters that, I mean, Ballerina is not that highly featured in some of the John Wick movies, and they're not even
right.
using the same actresses for these films. So it's like, they didn't bring back Charlize for Furiosa. They use Anna Taylor-Joy. So it's like, that's fine, but you know,
I think in the case of this one, I think it could have done okay. I mean, the budget was too high, in my opinion. It could have done okay if it had just come out without the John Wick name on it. Like, you didn't necessarily need. You could have told the story without John Wick and Keanu Reeves in that world, but you didn't need to. You didn't need to try and force the John Wick in it as well. I think if it would have just come, it would have been a great one of those. Well, there's a Charlize Theron movie that came out that was by the same directors, and it's an action movie. I can't think of the name of Atomic Blonde.
Yeah,
dude, Atomic Blonde is one of the best action movies ever made. Has one of the greatest fight scenes in history in it, and it's not a franchise piece. It stands alone.
No, it's great.
I just don't know why they didn't. It did really well. I don't know why they didn't do the same thing here. I'm with you on it.
Yeah, it's just a little. I mean, they're trying to forcing the female characters out of these male-dominated films is just not. It's not the way to go. I mean, it's I hate to use the DI thing. I hate that, but I mean, it's just so true. And you just got to be very careful about how you introduce characters into these franchises. And that would be one of them right there. Although like I said, I've enjoyed both films. I enjoyed both movies. So, and of course, Furiosa is the last movie I got to see with Uncle Teddy. So,
Yep.
I have a big love for the film. Life of Chuck was a movie that kind of got lost at the box office. I'm just
No, it did 100%.
it's actually a pretty good film, but it did get lost at the box office. Unfortunately, it just didn't make the money.
Yep. It was. I saw it just to support it, but it's also a completely out of the other options that are out there. This is a gut wrenching movie. Life of Chuck is like breaks your heart. So not necessarily how I want to feel during the summer. I don't know what it is, but like if you want to show me a movie that breaks my heart, give it to me in the winter when I'm cold already.
Exactly. Probably done better in November, December, somewhere in that range, for sure.
100%.
It kind of felt that way to me as I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, "Boy, weird release for June 6th," but that's what they did. So,
yeah.
The Phoenician Scheme, quite good. I thought it was entertaining. Getting ourselves a Wes Anderson film in the in June. Very nice. The Ritual was The Ritual ended up playing more as a limited release with Al Pacino doing his exorcisms, which I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but it's plays as like the traditional exorcism movie that you've watched probably 40 or 50 times before, so they all kind of blend together after a while. And that takes us to June 13th, and How to Train Your Dragon live action is a really, really good movie. It
was great. Took the kids. Yeah, took the kids. They loved it. It was a banger. Again, you can't lose with that franchise. You know, I mean, you could, but they followed a very good path, and they used the actors who are actually the voices for most of these. So, minus some of the younger people, but for the older people, it worked out really well, and it was playful and fun, and it did what it was supposed to do. My kids loved it. We had a great time watching it.
Yep, and it did quite well. Made a lot of money.
Yep.
Well over $600 million worldwide. So very very good take. Materialist is another movie that came out the same week, and another A24 film, and I really enjoyed this one. Mom and I saw this one together as well. Dakota Johnson and Pedro Pascal in like his 15th movie of the year because he's in everything,
Right.
and
Yep.
Chris Evans, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like a $20 million movie that made like almost 60 million, so it did quite well, which was good. Which was good to see because it's the type of movie that can get lost in the summer if you're not careful, and it did really well. It's a love story. I mean, it's got some comedy in it too, and but it's a love story, and it's kind of like a triangle love story. So it's neat. All the performances are good. And I think it kind of washed a little of the Madam Web stank off of Dakota Johnson as well, because she was catching a lot of heat from Madam Web, and this
Oh
is
yeah.
the next for her, and this one is a lot better. This is where she needs to stay. She needs to stay doing movies that are like $20-25 million. She can carry it a little bit more at the box office than those big $100 million tentpole movies. That's not really her. It's not really her forte.
For sure. For sure.
June 20th, and this is the movie that I wanted to see all summer. 28 years later, I thought it was pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was quite fun at the box office as well. It did really well, making over $150 million, the biggest of the franchise thus far. And the next version, because the new 28 years movies have been conceptualized as a trilogy. So the second part comes out in January. It's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta, who I am not a fan of. I have not enjoyed almost any of her films that have come
Yep.
out. That being the movies that people would know are the new Candyman, which is not that good, and she did the movie The Marvels, which is probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen, and so yeah, so now she gets the second installment of this great franchise. Wasn't happy to hear it, but I will say this: I've seen the trailer for the second movie. It looks really really good, and the good thing that they did with her is they hired her into this franchise that is going to be really, really overlooked very closely by Danny Boyle and Alex Garland because they have numbers 1 and 3 in this trilogy. Danny Boyle's directing 1 and 3. You needed somebody to bridge the gap, and they chose
Yeah.
her. I would have chosen somebody else, but I don't. But I know they're not letting her have her full vision, and it's more of she has to play inside the franchise, which is going to save it quite well. But I'm really looking forward to it because that's where the Doctor comes in to play more in the second one.
So look, and if anybody's seen it, the movie's great. There's a lot of male frontal nudity, but there's also the doctor sequence. The back half of that movie is classic Danny Boyle putting people into a circumstance that just rips your heart out. It's
Yep.
so good and so beautiful that when it just and the way that movie ends, when it ends the way that it does, and it has that nice little kind of stinger on the end, but the way that it ends, you are immediately left like, I need the rest of this. Like, I can't. This story can't remain unfinished. It's fantastic in that way. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I'm curious to see what they do with the rest, but that last sequence, good grief, that whole last act, if you will, is just gut-wrenchingly beautiful, and what a great storytelling process. Hard to believe shot on a phone, but it was. So
Pixar's Elio, which I thought was I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was great. Didn't make the money it would like to have made, but ended up crossing over its production budget and getting a little bit more of its marketing money back. So at $150 million, it's an expensive undertaking, but that's low for the Pixar movies. 150 these days, because usually they're making for about 200. So they did this one for about 150, and it made more than that, but didn't make a lot of its marketing money back. But I really enjoyed it. To be real
There are
honest
some
with you.
great moments in it. My gauge for Pixar movies is now that I have kids is their how much do they recall it. And my
Yeah,
kids, they saw it, they talked about it for about a week, and it's gone.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like every other Pixar movie still comes up in their conversations or if they're talking about stuff, but it's just one of those ones, that and Elemental. Those two movies just don't come back.
Oh, I liked Elemental though. It was good. June 27th, we saw F1 the movie and
Good
Megan
God.
2. F1 is absolutely incredible. It's
God
really good.
bless.
It's really good. My mom loved it too, and we saw this one together. And she keeps forgetting the name of it just because she's not really into Formula One racing, so she kind of forgets the name of it. But she loved it, and man, Brad Pitt's so good. I mean, he's just such a great actor, and I just love Brad Pitt, man. I just think he's the best. I really do. I just love his movies, and I love the fact that he's just so willing to make sure they're in theaters. I just love that
Yeah.
about him. I love that about him. I love that about Tom Cruise. Those guys can do no wrong for me. I mean, I listen. I don't care what anybody says about them. I really don't. They're good dudes doing the right thing. That's it. That's all I care about.
That that movie is a blast from beginning to end. It's really good. And to me, the entire time I was watching it, and this is not just because of this episode, it literally the entire time I was watching it, I felt like I was watching a Redford movie. He just has the swagger
I see that.
of Robert Redford throughout the entire movie. Like it is just he's so cool in it, just like Redford was, just cool. Just
Yeah.
because sometimes Brad Pitt's not cool to me in movies. Tree of Life, not cool. This movie, ultra cool, ultra
Yeah.
cool. So good stuff. Now I did not get to see the next one, and I'm curious to see what you're going to say about it because
Yeah.
I've heard so many varying things. I heard it's a great comedy. I've heard all kinds of stuff about it. I'm
So it's
curious to see your take.
not supposed to be a comedy in the sense
Yeah.
of what a comedy is, but it does play a lot like that. I mean, they got Jermaine Clement in it, and they got the casting tells you it's going to be pretty funny, and there are a lot of funny moments. I mean, they definitely went campy with Megan 2.0. It's a little different because I think the first one, a lot of people didn't know what to expect from the first one because they
Yep.
saw the girl dancing and stuff like that, and everyone flocked to the theater to watch it. It did really, really well, and so that launched a sequel that didn't do nearly as well. I guess people were just kind of the first one's kind of it's not really. I mean, it's in under the horror banner, but it's not really what I'd call true horror. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
like more of a thriller. It's more like a psychological thriller in a lot of ways. Whereas Megan 2.0, I mean, again, under the horror banner, I wouldn't call it horror. It's a thriller with a lot of humor. And
Yep.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's just as good as the first one, if not better in some ways. And Jermaine Clement, dude, I know at one point, man, we tried to get this guy for a couple
Yep.
different movies, and we were met with a lot of disdain trying to get him from a producer of ours that is pretty out of touch. I'll just say that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and he's so good in this, and
Yeah.
it's I couldn't watch the movie without thinking about these movies that you and I used to do, and us trying to get this actor, and being met with just absolute disdain every time we brought his name up. Okay, well, go watch the movie. He's in a big summer movie that wasn't by any means the biggest hit of the year of the summer, but did better than our
Yeah.
films.
Well, yeah. And people know who he is, right?
Right.
I mean, people know him. Um, so I got to ask you, we had a very lovely conversation on the summer movie preview
Yes.
about the next movie.
Yes. I was wrong.
I was too. I
Yes.
was good. I was just waiting. We were both wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Jurassic World Rebirth is one of the better movies of the summer. It is really, really, really good.
Yep.
It's really entertaining. I mean, it may be it may be better than the three movies that came out before it.
Yep.
And I like the Chris Pratt films. I like all those. But I mean, I was really wrong about this. I thought this was not going to be as good. I didn't think it was going to maybe do as well. It did well. I was right about that. It didn't do as well as the previous
Yeah.
installment because it didn't quite get to $1 billion. But it's grossed close to 900 million worldwide. So I mean, it's a big hit. And I was wrong about everything involving this film. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as entertaining. I thought they rushed it. I didn't think the script was going to be very good. And yeah, you should check it
It
out.
it
It's great.
it is my favorite. So Jurassic Park will always be my favorite, and then whatever the first Chris Pratt one is, I love that movie. I thought it was really good. That's my second favorite Jurassic Park out of all the movies, and this is number 3. I absolutely adored this movie from head to toe. It's good. It's a really good movie. There's stuff with Mahershala Ali that is just he's just so good, dude.
It's
He's
great, man. He's
just
an actor.
I mean, he's just a beast, and things that happen. I don't want to spoil it in case some people
Yeah.
haven't seen it because maybe they took our advice wrong. But like, it's worth a watch. I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
So we'll jump to Superman, July 11th, which is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed Superman, and I know that there's a lot of people that I don't think there's a lot of people who understand box office and how this works. Okay, so the movie budget landed around 225 million, somewhere in that range, right? And obviously there's marketing costs and things like that. The movie's made about 620 million dollars. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care what you see. I don't care what the narrative is from some show you're watching. I don't care what you're hearing on the internet. That is a hit, regardless
Right.
of it doesn't matter how much you wanted it to make. It doesn't matter what people might have thought it was going to make $1 billion, but that's not reality. I mean, the reality is that we are in fatigue for superhero films, and
Yep.
the fact that this movie got over 620 million dollars during that time frame is quite impressive, and it's impressive enough that they've already launched the sequel to this film.
Right. Right.
So you don't launch sequels to movies that flop. It just doesn't usually
That's
happen.
right.
So
Well,
especially big budget ones.
and as I predicted it would be, that is hands down my favorite movie of the summer. Like I ended up, although Rebirth is close second. I loved Superman. I saw it with my entire family: mom, dad,
Yeah.
kids, wife. I mean, and
Middle
we
of the week.
all, yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
you see like Thursday or something like that?
I saw it opening. Yeah, like the Thursday pre-open. Like we
Yeah.
got that one. Like we went
Yeah.
early, and everybody enjoyed it. We all had a great time with it. And the only thing my mom says is the same shit she always says, which is, "I wish it was Christopher Reeve." Well, too late.
And you got to move on, man. We lost the good Superman.
Yeah, he's
Now, one thing I will say about Superman is this movie comes out, and almost on the day that I saw it, I got a movie that I just finished here in St. Louis, and I was working with Tom Welling,
oh man,
who obviously made his bones playing Clark Kent Superman
yeah,
on Smallville, and he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. He's a really nice dude. But so so we had the Superman thing going on, the theme going on in this summer. So that was a lot of fun. And a movie we just did was called Summer 2001. So check that out when it comes out. I don't know when it'll come out, but you'll hear it first when it does. And then we sneak over to July 18th, and we've got 3 movies: Eddington, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Smurfs. Have you seen any of these?
I did not. No, I sure didn't. Smurfs just came out on Peacock, I think. My
Okay.
kids want to watch it. I just haven't watched it with them yet.
So it's good. Smurfs is good. It kind of plays more like a musical, and they got Rihanna in this role of Smurfette, which is kind of weird to me
Yeah.
because she's not a great actress at all, and not even good. She's not good in this role at all. She's she's so wooden when she's delivering dialogue, dude. You're kind of like, why is she? Now they've always chosen the Smurf movies have always chosen like a female musician, a
Yeah.
female singer to do the role. Like they've had Katy Perry in the past and stuff like that. I wish they had gone back to some of the other artists because Rihanna's not very good in this at all. Although her music's great, so
Yeah.
the music's good in the movie, but her actually trying to act is pretty painful. So, but it did well. But it did well. The movie did fine, and so we'll hopefully see some other Smurf movies, and they can change the artists around a little bit. I know what you did last summer. I thought was a kind of a fun entry. I thought going into this, I had never actually seen the script. A lot of times I see these movies as they're greenlit, and I see scripts and stuff like that. Um, so I didn't know this was actually a sequel at the time before
Right.
I started looking at the trailers and stuff. And this is an actual sequel. This is not a reboot. It's just so anybody wants to watch this movie and hasn't already seen it. This is a sequel to the other I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. This is not a reboot. I just want to be very clear about that because there's a lot of people who hate reboots. This is not a reboot. This is a sequel. Um, it's pretty much done by all women filmmakers. Like the entire run of filmmakers on this at the top end of the credits are all females, and it shows quite a bit in this movie. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's there's some really weird scenes in this movie, but it is pretty good, and I did enjoy it. There's some I hate to use this word, but there's some cringy dialogue that's just kind of
Right.
you probably would have gotten it something different from a male from a male filmmaker. I'm just being honest. Um, but you get a little something weird here, and yeah, you'll see it when you watch it. You'll understand better. But I did enjoy the movie quite a bit, and not my favorite movie of the summer, but a very worthy um, sequel to the franchise. I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me, but I did enjoy it. Eddington is a very unique film that people should give it. Of course, it stars Pedro Pascal because what doesn't? And so check it out again, of course. And Joaquin Phoenix is in it as well.
Yep. Yep. For sure.
That takes us to another Pedro Pascal movie, July 25th, and that's the Fantastic Four First Steps, which I thought was quite amazing, and I loved the production design in this movie. Thought it was just phenomenal, and it looked so great when you're out in Times Square. And have you gotten to watch this yet?
I've not. We were on vacation when it dropped, and we just didn't circle back to go catch it. But, um, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the originality of it. I can't wait to see it once they drop it. I'm waiting on old Disney Plus to go ahead and put it out there. I'm a little shocked that it's not already out, as much as Disney loves to like day of date release stuff these days. But yeah, as soon as it comes out, I'll watch it and I'll let everybody know. But yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet. But in the trailers, the production design looks amazing.
So in late July, they snuck this horror movie in called Together,
Yep.
and it has real life couple Dave Franco and Allison Brie. And it is probably one of the most unique things I've ever watched. It is a very unique horror film, and it is definitely a horror film. It is.
Yeah.
It's a very unique movie, and I'm just going to leave it like that. I do not want to ruin this for anybody who wants to watch this film. It's different. It's very, very different. And I mean, you can see the trailer and tell it's going to be different, but I did enjoy this film a good bit. I like Alison Brie a ton. And we've always liked her from Community and stuff like that, but she's a great
Yep.
actor.
Yep.
And Dave Franco, I think, is pretty underrated because I think a lot of people think of him as like the goofy guy from movies like The Neighbors and stuff like that. But he can do it, man. He can bring the dramatic stuff, and he does a lot of that here. And you'll get to see him in a totally different way. You have not seen that film yet, have you?
I have not. No, no, no,
Okay.
nope.
So that brings us
I
in.
know about it. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
that brings us into August, where we start off with a couple movies on August 1st: The Bad Guys 2 and The Naked Gun. And
Yeah.
man, I love The Naked Gun. I thought it was sensational, man. I thought it was really funny. I loved Liam Neeson. I thought he was great. Um, I thought it was a nice tribute to the originals. It stays kind of in the same realm. And I don't think people understand that Leslie Nielsen was very much a dramatic actor before he took that role, before he took the airplane roles that would lead into that and lead into the police squad stuff and then lead into the Naked Gun stuff. He was very much a dramatic actor for many, 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 many years. And this is not abnormal for a guy like Liam Neeson to be here. Liam Neeson is a movie star, once again movie star. He can play any role in the book, and he does really well here.
Right.
And I enjoyed The Bad Guys too, which I thought was really a nice
Yeah.
to the first one.
Both movies were great. Bad Guys 2 was super fun. Me and my kids loved it. Naked Gun, I laughed like I thought I was going to. It has Paul Whitehouse. Is it Paul? What's his name? Paul Hauser, but there's a middle name in there.
Yeah. Paul Hauser.
Paul Hauser.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I've always loved that guy. He's a great addition to it. He's perfect. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with that movie. I had a lot of laughs.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it did well. So I mean, I was worried about it, being in August, but it was like a $40 million movie, and it's made over 100, and Bad Guys 2 has made over 180 million on an $80 million budget. So those have done pretty well. So that's good. That's always good to see. We get into August 8th, and we're into Freakier Friday and Weapons. I've seen both. Freakier Friday, I wasn't entirely sure I was going to enjoy it. It's funny. It's good. It's like Freaky Friday in a lot of ways. They tried to mix it up a little bit, but it's a $40 million movie that's made, good bank. It's made over 150 million. So did quite well. Listen, man, I had to send Zach Krager a text about Weapons because I know the director of this movie, and he's just got such good movies. I mean, Barbarian was so amazing, and I love that. I loved Barbarian so much, and I just thought it was so unique and such a great film. And I was really curious how he's going to even follow that up with another unique tale. And Weapons looks so good in the trailers, and this movie is just so unique and so wonderful. And I highly recommend everyone watch Weapons if you're into the horror genre, because this movie, I wouldn't even necessarily call it horror in a lot of ways. I think because I told my brother he could watch this. I said, man, it's more like a psychological thriller. I mean, yeah, there's some bloody, there's a couple bloody scenes in it, but I said, man, Weapons is so good. Like, why would you not want to see this film? I mean, why would you not want to watch this? Like, I can't imagine anyone not wanting to see this movie just because it's so uniquely good.
I don't have the same response. I probably wouldn't have texted Zach. I didn't hate it, but I had issues with what I hated on that movie was the marketing. I hated the marketing.
Okay.
What they set it up to be, and what I got was two different things. Now, I'm mature enough as a watcher to get through it. So when I started watching, I enjoyed it, but I agree with you. It is 1,000,000% a fantastic thriller. Really, your best statement is it's a psychological thriller, because there is a psychological element that happens a good bit in it that really just changes. There's not but like one or two jump scares, and everything else is just tension, and then payoff. And the payoff is not a horror movie style payoff. It is very counter. So to your point, it's lensed like a champion. It's shot brilliantly. I can't take away from anything from that. I didn't love how it closed out. And so much so
Okay.
that I felt that was my biggest complaint about, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But
Yeah,
I will
no,
say I'm
I-
not going to negate it's not worth a watch. It's worth a watch. It's 100% worth a watch.
one of the things I love about it is he takes the time to explain every character, and
Absolutely.
and every character meant something to him in it, and that's what I love about it. He
Yep.
takes the time to say, okay, now we're going to stop, and now I'm going to explain all these characters to you and how they're gonna meld together later on in the story. And as I'm watching that, I'm just like, man, what a brilliant way to tell this story. And I really appreciated that to the point where it didn't really matter. I agree. You get to the end, okay, it is what it is, because eventually you just got to get to the end of it. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes that can feel a little bit rushed. So he chose to take his time building these characters, and
Right.
it might, and I to your point, it kind of maybe cheapens the end a little bit because it's probably a little more rushed than it needs to be. But the build up getting there is where the fun is to me, you know?
100%.
And
100%.
that's I'm like, and there's so many tense scenes and moments, and you just don't know what's coming. That I was just floored by it. You know, I was just like, man, this is
Yep.
really, 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 really cool. And the performances are great, and he just gets the most out of the people that he's around, and that's one of the things I like about his movies. They're just very unique, and he comes up with just stuff you'd want to watch in a theater, which I appreciate, so much as a guy who loves being at the theater. Uh, Now this next movie, I know for a fact you wanted to see it. Did you get to see Nobody too?
I sure did.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really good. It doesn't have the same charm as the first one because the first one was so like it'd be like if they make a sequel to Weapons, it won't be like Weapons,
No, of
right?
course.
The first Nobody is like out of the blue, a character you've never seen do anything like this. So now you kind of expect it. And don't get me wrong, it's a fantastically fun movie. And I laughed out loud more than I should because it's that good of there's moments in it. I tell you what I love the most about it. The most I loved, aside from Christopher Lloyd, he is brilliant in it, is that it reminded me of a movie you and I would have seen in the 90s. Like it
Yes.
felt like one of those obscure 90s movies that you and I would have been excited about to go see in the theaters together. That's what it felt like. Like I wished I could have seen it with you because you and I would have had that gleeful young man time of being teenagers watching a movie.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a good point. And as I was watching, I kept thinking the same type of thing too, which was always whenever time I watch action movies, I'm always kind of like, man, which Drew watch this with Drew.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, I mean, it didn't do as well as the first one. Obviously, there's a lot of people that were wondering why they even needed a sequel to the film. To be honest with you, the first one was like a $20 million, $15 million movie that ended up making like $55 to $60 in the box office. It's by no means
Right.
a big enough hit that it needs a sequel, but they decided to do it, and they put 25 million into this one, and it's made about 40. So it kind of underperformed, but it's kind of not that far from where the first one was anyway. So it'll make its money back. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not as good as the first one, but I did love like the old commercials and some of the other
Oh
stuff
yeah.
doing
Oh
it,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of fun because they're like going back to this old place where he visited when he was a kid. So they got all these like old '70s looking things and stuff like that, and a
Yeah.
lot of the design is cool like that. So I liked that kind of stuff because I'm just into that era of time. So anytime that a movie can take me there, I gotta give it a thumbs up and be happy about it. So I was cool with it, but I agree with you 100%. Not as good as the first one. So it depends on how you view the first one. Um, and I was listening to a show that I listened to here in St. Louis, and they were talking. They were talking to a reviewer, and she's like, "Well, it's kind of like John Wick in a lot of ways," and they were all upset about it. And I was like, "Well, it's supposed to be a lot like John Wick in some ways because it's produced by the same people who did John
Yeah.
Wick." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh, that's supposed to be an element that's there, and it's also supposed to be that he's got a family, which is way different than John Wick. So, you know, if you're not
Yeah.
into
The stunt team. yeah, yeah, the stunt team behind it is the same. Like you can tell. I think they missed that brand of, I forget their name. It's like D23 or something. But that group of performers that choreographed all the stunts for John Wick, invented John Wick, is the same people that produce this. So the fight choreography has that level of detail that those guys, like, they're a brand in terms of stunts now. You can watch. So
Yeah,
it's really interesting to me. She says that. I have a negative response to it. It's like, no. That's not like John Wick. That's like D23 or whatever the name of this company is. It's like
well,
their brand, D
yeah.
North
Well,
or
my,
D
my buddy,
North.
my buddy Brian Pitt and I have worked with these guys before, so it's like, so I
Yeah.
mean, they I mean, yeah, it's that's what you're gonna get, and that's just the way it is. And then let's jump to the very end. Let's get to our Labor Day weekend stuff. And August 29th, we saw Caught Stealing, The Roses, and Toxic Avenger all come out. I've seen them all. The Roses is War of the Roses, kind of a remake of War of the Roses, which was the Michael Keaton,
Yep.
uh, Kathleen Turner movie. It's really good. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's funny. And then Toxic Avenger is exactly what you think it should be. It's Toxic
Yep.
Avenger with a bigger cast than these movies have ever seen. And
Yeah.
so both very enjoyable. The one that's really the one that jumps off the page here is Caught Stealing. Um, it's not the traditional Darren Aronofsky movie you'd be watching, and it is
Right.
shot by a guy that I worked with, Matthew Libatique, who's an amazing cinematographer. And Caught Stealing is really quite good. I would say it's kind of. I don't want people to think it's exactly like these movies, but I would say it's kind of not exactly like these films. I want to be very clear about that. But it's kind of a Snatch meets Bullet Train type thing. And when you watch the movie, you'll
Yep.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. You texted me that, and and look, I wanted to see it because I love the punk rockness of it, and the young guy, I forget his name now, but the guy that plays Elvis, I think is great. And then you have Matt, what's his face, that was Doctor Who, and him being in it. It's Yeah, it's just got an interesting cast, and then Aronofsky doing something that's not normally him makes me excited to see what his out of norm is, because his normal is most people's out of norm. So him doing more traditional makes me feel like I'm going to get, like you said, this. It sounds like this really interesting combination of movies. So I'm excited about that one.
And that was the summer in a nutshell. And most everything that came out did really well at the box office. So that was good. That was good to see. And I reaffirmed myself as the box office king by pretty much getting all these right, which is great. And I did get the number one
Yep.
film.
Yep.
So I did keep my crown, which is always a fun thing.
Yeah, no, it's good. And look, as I've said before, I'm happy to see people go into the theater because it means everything. I'm happy to see that some really original ideas did well. In a summer of a lot of reboots and remakes and sequels and whatever,
Yeah.
there were some shining. Again, Weapons is one of those. There's some shining stars of original content. Those are how we get new movies. That's how we keep it going. And so I was excited to see it. And so it was cool to have that stuff come out. So. Okay, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for joining us again. Robert Redford will be missed. If you want to see an eerie ghost-like performance of his, as we mentioned, watch F1. Brad Pitt channeling his interpretation of Robert Redford is my statement. But it's a great movie. You'll really enjoy it. There's a whole list of Robert Redford movies out there for you to watch if you haven't. Start in the 60s. I said 70s. Tony's right. Start in the 60s. Is there anything else you want to add, Tony, before I just send us off?
No, that's it, man. Just have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure you hit us up on Facebook and anywhere else you want to talk to us. We're always happy to listen to you. And if you have any suggestions for the show, please hit us up. But also, we love when you hit like or subscribe anywhere you're listening, or give us a little review or rate the show. Just hit the little buttons. It takes like 5 seconds to hit these buttons. And people do it all the time for the celebrity podcasts. They hit these buttons all the time for these guys. We have so much trouble getting you guys to hit these buttons for us. I don't know why, because our listenership is and we're by no means the largest podcast or anything in the world, but we have enough listeners now that we should have more ratings than we have. So please hit these buttons that give us little ratings and likes and subscriptions and stuff like that. That would really mean a lot to us if you want us to keep up with the show. Thank you.
And platform done. All right. See you guys next time. Cheers.